Good morning out there, traders. It's February 26, 2024, and welcome to the Apteros Daily Market Insight. Let's get into our recap, and then we'll take a look at our levels for today. So our recap on Friday, we had no official real DMI, essentially because the main narrative was that we were running out of risk reward to the upside, and I was generally neutral just out here in this open space area based on how we develop context and derive our narrative. So not a lot for us on Friday to really go over besides the fact that, we had a neutral area out here, mentioning it as extremes on higher time frames, and to continue to push to the upside required more and more energy from this ES market after we've already seen a pretty energetic move. So I think the general theme from our DMI was spot on. I think that we nailed our DMI from Friday. Sitting on our hands and not looking for more upside was the right thing to do. Also, we had a really good idea of where this market was kind of essentially heading and stalling before a deeper pullback. More advanced traders, more professionals, you could put it that way. Definitely a move to the downside that was available for a scalping type of thing. But for the general way in which we look at context, this was not a strong area in terms of narrative. It was not a place where I would advise anyone who's getting started to start looking for shorts at all, because it was, like I said, an area where the acceptance picture was to the upside, higher time frames, which can go for a couple of days to the upside before they start to pull back, were also at extremes. It was just a situation where we had to sit on our hands, wait and see how this market was going to play out before we got any more information. And I thought we were spot on with that read with the DMI. So, really great stuff for us on Friday, paying attention to that risk reward landscape and how it's at destinations and kind of running out. And we ended up seeing just a shallow kind of pullback move and then stabilization out here. So it wasn't like a full on bearish, situation. The market literally just pulled back a couple of, points, like 10, 20 points, and just stabilize there. So, an interesting spot overall in terms of context and narrative, and hopefully other people who are prepping with me that understand the Nagio framework kind of saw something similar out there as well. All right, let's take a look at what's going on today. Well, if we were out in extremes on Friday and we didn't really go anywhere from there, we're still there, right? So we haven't really pulled all the way back out of that zone yet, but we did end up creating some short-term information, very, very short-term information that we can use. And I actually am still neutral out, basically in this zone here, but we do have a spot that's in terms of a line in the sand that makes some sense from a contextual perspective to look in either direction, to the upside or to the downside. So at least we have some information that we can trade from today. Not strong narrative, not incredibly, easy to read across the board, but we do have a line in the sand that we could work with in today's session. So let's go over the general ideas and expectations from that area. So here's our list for today. It is neutral. It's not biased in any way, shape, or form, but we have confluence in it. And the reason why it's not biased right now is because we are out at extremes and the current acceptance picture on this level is bullish. So similar to what we were saying on Friday, we're out in a place where the risk reward landscape is running out. I mean, essentially all-time highs are right here. We've hit, a really strong move on higher time frames, and we're still accepting to the upside. So with those two conflicting things, being out at the end of risk reward but still holding to the upside, this is a neutral level for us today. Now, taking a look at general scenarios, we have scenario one, which would be essentially the first move of this is a hold inside of it up to this area here, and that would be the first leg of completion there, a traversal of the value area that we had built on Friday. And then if we get out above that, then we have to look at, do we clear out the all-time high here and continue to the upside, or is this zone here kind of where we end up seeing some excess put in again and, a return back into this value? So it's touchy to the upside, but that is the scenario here. If we're holding value and continuing to the upside and we're seeing that energy on the intraday perspective, guess what? The bulls are in play, and we continue to monitor that as we move through our value and then possible breakout to the upside from our prior value area. Now, if we start seeing the downside, things make a lot more sense if we get below this line in the sand. So that would actually become a little bit more of a bearish line in the sand for us if we accept below. So if we start seeing something like this and we get below there, a lot of open space here where you have to employ some type of trend following. But that would give us at least the open space that leads us into that idea's target, which is down into this bullish zone here. This bullish zone is our higher time frame, idea for the bulls. This would be the first place that we're going to see a test for it. And this is its own line in the sand, right? This is the bull. So if we do see that overall pullback there, that's completion of the idea. And then we watch that area for stabilization for a possible move back to the upside for more of the same, or a breakdown to the downside heading into that neutral reference there. And that would kind of be the end of all of the possibilities for today, right? So we have our upside covered with scenario 1, which is what we're currently sitting in terms of the acceptance picture. That upside is target here, look for breakout. If it continues to the upside, we're going to look for that energy to push through the highs. If we end up seeing scenario 2, that has more confluence with it in the overall landscape of the narrative. That's kind of the better of the two ideas, where we would see a move possible all the way back into here. Would we get that full, move back? It's random. We don't know. But we do know that this area here is meaningful for us for today's trading session. So looking at scenario 2, it would be a move back into this higher time frame bullish line in the sand zone, where we would have to monitor then for the bigger, inflections coming out of this zone, or the full breakdown and traversal back into that neutral reference. All right, so that's our full contextual landscape with all the scenarios kind of played out for us. Trade well out there, mind your risk, and really just stay focused on process today. Control that. Control the things that you can.